very glad to meet everyone. The last time I've been here was a few years before the pandemic. So nice to be back.
Okay,
Um, I don't know if everyone here knows about, oh, you want to sit over here so we can, if you have a better view. I don't know if anyone here knows LAMBERT issues, the Philippines. It refers to, I'll give you the story later, but whenever you talk about the LAMBERTs, it refers to the first imperforate issue for the USBI. And it's pretty much a part of what we call Philippine commercial security stamps. Next slide. So when you talk about the Philippine commercial security stamp, it pretty much followed what was going on here in the US at that time. You know, there was a incidence of theft or unaccounted, loss of some stamps. Because during those times, if you have some stamps, you can go to the post office and you can cash them in, and they'll give you money. So that was at that time. So that was around 1911 when they started doing it. Actually, the perforated initial, the perfins, started here in the US and some in Europe. So they just followed it. And there were three commercial entities that started with the perfins at the time, were in the American Red Cross, the Chartered Bank of India, and the Philippine Education Company. So these are the first three companies who started the commercial security stamps issues in the Philippines. That's right. And then many people complaining, you are storing the stamp, you're putting holes. So now the Philippine Bureau of Post came up with the idea of doing some overprint initials for different companies. And you have the CS for Camera Supply Company, Alcan, and then the Hiccups stores, and they have different issues. And then the Rambler shoes. And this is the Brias Roas, which is a military supply store in Manila. So at that time, another company, the lumber sales company, decided, hey, yeah, we're also losing stamps, we're shipping packages, and we're talking about high value stacks. They use a lot of 10 peso stacks. So they went and asked the Philippine Bureau of Post, and Bureau of Post said, oh no, we don't like those overprinting anymore because it defaces the portraits of the definitives. So next slide. So they suggested, how about if we issue an imperforate of the current stamps, and that's probably okay for you. So I'll stop here and I'll continue that later. Next slide. So who is Mr. Lambert? Now, initially, I thought Mr. Lambert is an Irish guy or an English guy. But when I did my research, they're from Belgium. So the family came to the America, immigrated, probably went through Ellis Island, and then they first settled in Boston, and then they moved to Minneapolis. Then he grew up, and during the Spanish-American War, he volunteered, and he was a sergeant in the 13th Minnesota Volunteer Infantry, and then continued until the Philippine-American War. After that, as other American military officers and soldiers, they like the Philippines, they see the chance of maybe putting up some business, So he's one of them. And he started doing some, doing a wholesale bookstore, postcards, and, those US soldiers, American missionaries, they love to send postcards, so they came up with that. Next slide, please. So this is an early power. As you see, there's a hand stamp corner card here. Manila Book and Stationery Company, Leon J. Lambert. doing a business there. Next slide, please. And UCAR, that is first gold mine for him. He came up with postcards. And at that time, he was one of those few stores that are selling postcards. And his post actually there are people collecting his postcards. And there's a total of almost 400 postcards that he produced. So if you look at his postcard, they're numbered. And there's a listing in the internet of all the different postcards and with the respective view card numbers. So you can see his name here. And then sometime around the early 1910s, next slide please, he joined with Mr. Springer. Because Mr. Springer, he was saying, oh, we can do a better job on what you're saying. We can be more colorful. So he came up with more colorful postcards. So and then you can see these postcards here, you see those initial there. That stands for LSCO, which is Lambert and Springer Company. So that continued until the late 1910s. And then, next slide, please. And then with that, he thought about do something else. There's a story behind that. Because at that time, they were forming the first stamp club affiliate of the American Philippic Society at that time. And the members were Bad Holes, themselves, and him, and what's that guy with the Chinese character in the end?
Sidal.
Sidal, yeah.
Sidal, yeah.
And Sidal was the APS chapter secretary. And at that time, Lambert was also a member of that. So within the group, you do business dealings. And the first president of the chapter club was, oh God, what's her name? It's a female. And her business is embroidery. Because the Filipino women, they're very good in doing embroidery. And then he saw some samples and he said, I can make business out of this. So maybe we need to do embroidery clothes for babies. And that's a big deal. So he came up with the Albert Sales Company and they manufacture, well, through the contacts in Manila, they do embroidery clothing for babies. And they set up a main office in New York. So basically going back to the interpret stamps, yeah, there's some, loss of stamps. So there's the stamp stack and they try to ask the Bureau of Post to do some overprint, but the Philippine Bureau of Post said, no way. We won't do those overprinting anymore. We can sell you the interpret stamps. Next slide, please. So, as I said, the Bureau of Post suggested that, and then the Lambert Sales Company ordered this amount of postage. And just to give you an idea, they were able to use 80%, and they use it the days between June 22nd to October 26, 1925. Why did they stop? And they did not reorder. Well, because it's very tedious process that you have to cut and then paste, So they did not reorder any more interpret stamps. So it's pretty limited. Next slide. So Jonah is here listening to us, and I should commend him in coming up with this table from his book, Numbers, I think, volume 2. And I may probably need your pointer, James.
Oh, pointer?
Yeah, I ran out of juice.
Boom, old school.
Yeah. So as you can see here, these are the amount quantities of interpret stamps per the values of the stamps. And when Mr. Lambert received them, he was surprised, and nobody can really explain why the Bureau Post sent extra numbers in the Manila Post Office. So you're defeating the purpose. You know, how come you have a security if you are selling it in the general public? So George Lambert said, "Oh, no way." So he ran and went to the post office and he bought whatever, probably nobody knew how many stamps were sold, but probably they said it's still a good amount that he was able to acquire. So he bought all of this and added. So now when you add or when you go look at the quantities of stamp, you should add more, the numbers here. And also the Bureau Post sent out specimens. Specimens like one sheets, one pane of each one, including the special delivery, which is like 50 in each pane. Next slide, please. So collectors initially felt bad about it, that these are not good because it's very private and nobody can acquire this imperforate issue. And they were complaining about it because it's totally controlled by Mr. Lambert. So just to move further, another 6 years, in 1931, the US Bureau Post came up with a reprint. It's a reprint, you know, although they've given them a different or separate stat number. So as you can see, they produce more numbers of the values compared to the Lambert in 1925. And there are certain numbers. How can you differentiate? There's a difference between 1925 and 1931, because 1925 tend to be more expensive. It has more value. So you have to know that. But so some of them, if you are thinking about plate blocks or anything with plate numbers, the 2 centavo and the 6 centavo and the 30 centavo have unique plate numbers that are only, you can find them in 1925. But the rest of the value, they've also used it in the 1931 issue, in addition to new plate numbers. Okay, so if you're looking at the plate number of a 2 centavo, 6 centavo, and 30 centavo, you see those numbers, you definitely don't even have to look at the back or look at the color. This is definitely 1925. Okay, next slide. So this is a complete mint set. And thanks to Mark Spence, he helped me get this set completed. And these are the margin singles of all the issue. And of course, you always think about the peso values because they are the harder ones to get, the smaller quantities, and especially the 4 pesos and the 10 pesos. Next slide. Let's talk about the specimen set. So there's always one thing each that was sent to the Bureau Post in Manila. And they stuck them on a craft paper bound just for reference. What's his name? Warren. The American. Arnold Warren. He wrote an article in the early 1950s, and he said sometime in 1940, the specimen pages disappeared from the Bureau Post. Somebody took it. So they don't know where it was until the mid-1950s. One auction store came up with it. And then they started peeling it off those board. And of course, there are some that are not really stuck it well. And most of the destroyed value is the 2 centavo. So if you're talking about specimen, the 2 centavos, has the least numbers. That's why they reported, this is based on WESTPEX study, LAMBERT study group. They said that you can only come up with a complete 25 sets because so much of the 2 centavo stamps were destroyed. So, and then of course, to start with, you cannot start 100 pieces because 100 here, but you cannot say 100 sets because the special delivery was only 50 in one thing. So you start with 50, and then with many numbers of 2 centavo destroyed, you can only come up with a 25 complete set. That's it. So this is just a bird's eye view of how you distinguish between the 1925 Lambert and the 1931 interpretation. The colors, you can see some of the colors, sometimes are very distinct. They are sharp, more vivid, darker colors compared to the regular issue. Okay, but sometimes you can be fooled. There is some issue 31 that can also be darker. So you have to not just don't just judge on the color all the time. You can look at the paper type. Merle Spence used to tell me, and Doc Kennedy, his sidekick, he would say, get the piece of stamp and then stack it near your ears. I mean, just high peaks, maybe more of 1925. Because they're thicker and yellow paper, but there's some toning. I mean, you cannot use the yellowish paper, right here. So you have to look at everything. Do as much as you can, because even myself up to now, there are certain stuff in purple stamp that I could not figure out whether it's 1925 or 1935 because of toning and it's hard. And then the gum features is smoother and plain. So they came up with the phrase golden threads. Initially, I was keep on telling golden thread. I don't see any gold here, but they say you slant it because the gum is so thick and it's not plain, so you get a lot of swirling. So when you look at the back, you can see the swirling thick area. So that's what they call golden thread. And that's more common in 1931. So as I said, the plate numbers is very important. If you see the 2, 6, 30, and they have that particular unique plate numbers, you don't have to use all of this because you can say, oh, that's 1925. Those plate numbers were only used in the 1925 issue. Next slide, please. So, what do they look like before June 1925? Well, they have the label. This is a classic label that they use because they set those embroidered clothes in packages. And as I said, they use a lot of 10 peso stamps. Just imagine that 110 peso is a big amount during those times. And if one employee will pocket 2 or 3 10 pesos, that's their probably 1 month salary. So basically, this is dated March 15 because they started using it in June 22nd of 1925. So this is March 15, 1925. And as far as I know, I've seen 8 of these forerunners. Next slide, please. So this is something important. They use 2 packages. Why did they use 2 packages? Because before, when they sent their embroidery goods to New York, they have a maximum of 50 pounds. So it's bulky, it's big. And usually by the time it reaches New York, it's cracked and sometimes open up because of the heavy load and, So they came up with small packages because if you have small packages, they have a less tendency to tear apart. So they use a body system. So they have 2 small packages bind together, and each package will have a label. So one of the package has what they call primary label. And then the second package will have what we call supplementary label. And most of the high value stamps will be on the primary labels, because if you're talking about Lambert interferate issue labels, there are two kinds of labels. There is the primary label where you see different high values, and there are the supplementary labels wherein they have the low pre-stamp label. Wherein I'll show you later as we move forward. So basically, they were able to send a total of about 1,500 packages during this period. And about 20% of the original labels were saved. You know, some people will probably soak them or destroyed, you know. Next slide. So this is the first day issue, the first day that they've used it. How did you know about it? Well, it's very obvious because the first label, the first day, only comes with the New York receiving postman. None of other label dates have that. Only the first date, June 22nd. Although I may have to correct myself later. So they have that, and I think it's more than 9, but the Lambert study group headed by Merle Spence at Walnut Creek said it's 9 primary label, but I think I've seen more than that. So this is a primary label, very obvious. In the primary label, you have the numberings on the side because the supplementary label doesn't have those numbers. So basically, the certificate of origin, which refers to the custom certificate number for the package, and this is the registry number, and then there's a package number. See that 5116/117. So one is 5116, the other one is 5117. And usually, when they weigh them, they come up with the amount, and they pencil the amount here, like 10 peso and 12 cents. Okay, sometimes they use so much high value here that there may be no need for stamps on the second level because it's already paid for by the primary label. So there's a chance that the label will be empty with stamps on the second label. Next slide, please. And this is the last day, October 26th. This is the last day of use. There might be some questions. I don't see any dates. How did you all know that it's October 26th? Well, lo and behold, when Merle Spence bought one of the huge lot of Lamberts from one of the Lamberts family, they still got the shipping book. So it's everything there, the numbering, the dates. So that's where they base it on. So just looking at the certificate number, looking at the package number, you can identify that it's October 26th. It's on the legend. Next slide, please. So this is the supplementary label. This is usually on the second package. See, they cover the area here where you put the numbers because all you need is just on one label. So this is probably the underneath package. And this already prepared in advance because with so much low values in their order, they have to use them up. So one of the employees came up with the thing about putting all the low values already, and you just sometimes the primary label will not have enough, or it comes with a little bit of the higher values. Sometimes you may need 2 supplementary labels on the second package to keep the actual cost of the 2 packages. Next slide, please. So this is the one I'm talking about. So this is already made into a table by the Lambert Study Group in the early 80s. And from the ledger, they come up with this table. So you pretty much know how many packages were sent for that day. They know what day. And actually, there are 3 times wherein maybe the ship had not sailed yet. So the next day, or the next 2 days, they have some more small amount that they can go with it. So this, for example, the June 23rd, there were like 4 more packages. So they sent it together with the June 22nd. And then the August 21st and the August 22, there are 4 more packages, so they add it together with the 21st. And same thing with the August 29 and the September 2nd. So basically, you know the number of packages because it's important to note that the number of packages, because if you are collecting the labels by the dates, it's gonna be important that you know about the June 23rd, you know about the August 22nd, and you know about the September 2nd. Okay, because if you want to complete all the dates, you will encounter problems on those 3 dates. Okay, so as I said, there are 13 actual shipments in a total of 16 dates. And aside from using the stamps on their package labels, there's also a small number of stamps that were used in their business correspondence. You know, like their letter to their bank and other things. So next slide, please. So these are the non-shipping label use of the Lambert company. And it's very obvious because you have those postal marking for letters. And this is going to London, Europe. This one is to the US. And this is the only complete cover that I've seen wherein the Lambert Sales Company sent a letter to a bank in Minnesota. And I don't know if you knew the bank, because remember, Mr. Lambert came from Minnesota. So there might be some connection there. So this is unique. And then there is this 160 centavo with the typical CBS Manila. So these are all used by the company, not in the labels. Next slide. So people who collected Lamberts, I mean, there's so many ways how we collect them. Number one is you start collecting them in pairs. And then when you complete them, and then you may look at the labels and you look at the different dates. But what the heck else you can come up with? Well, I mean, just to people, they look at the different killers. There is the small target, the large, the barbecue grill, and the Manila CDS. And then some people will also say, oh, this is unique. This is, they use 2 killers here. So this can be one of the ways you can collect them too, because there are so many also available loose Lambert stamps. Like this one, I mean, it's very obvious. There's a small and large, and I measured it. The smaller is 23 millimeters, the large one is 33, and you can see the difference. So let's go back to the listing at the. Can you go back? Yes. Several slides. Some more. The listing of the, yeah, you looked at September 2nd. There's no way you can find a complete label. They're already saying that there's no known complete label. And there are only 6, well, 12 labels, but there are only 6 primary. And they were said, there's no way you can find it. Go ahead, move it to the next, the step. No moment. Oh, backward.
Backward?
One more. Oh, yeah, this one. All I have is this block of 8, September 2nd, 1925. So this is the only one I have for September 2nd, the actual stamp and the postmark. Because there's no available label. And then sometimes they miss canceling the stamps. So when they reach the port or New York, they use a blue crayon to cancel the stamp. So that's typical for those packages. Next week. This is a very important lady. Because Merle Spence talked to me about it, but they said that there are only 2 primary labels for the June 23rd. And for many years, they're saying that they've been sold. So there's no available label. And lo and behold, Leonard Diamond presented this to them and said, I don't know about this. Can you look at the date? And they look at the dates and everything. And it turned out to be one of the primary labels of the June 23rd. So this is X Diamond. And when I saw it in the auction, I really went. Next slide, please. So you can also expand your collection. You can start looking at the different plate numbers, position. You know, the 2 and 4 centavos were printed in sheets of 400, divided into 4 100 pence. And the 6 to 10 centavo is printed in 200 subjects, and they're like consists of only 2 pence. Okay, so if you're looking at the 4 and the 2 centavos, you will have more plate number blocks compared to 6 to 10. Okay, because they're all always 4 pence versus 2 pence for 6 to 10 pesos. Next slide, please. So this is a typical example because nothing much to do. What else do I need to do? So I look at the killers. They have the Manila CDS. They have the New York Registry Council. You have the barbecue grill. You have the small target and the large target. So this next slide. And then if you want to complete it, you can do the small target. Somebody sent me to certify a 10 peso pair and it's being sold as 1925. Well, I look at it and you know, I said probably not, but see the one important thing is there hadn't been any 10 peso pair used 1925. It's always a single. Because they only use it and the label and it's always single. Never been shown that they were used in pair. 4 pesos, yes. Because if you use 2 10 centavos, then you're already beyond the 50-pound limit of the package. So I right away made my decision to the expertising. Yes. Yeah, because they asked me to expertise it, and I said, "There's no." So I explained it everything, you know. So it is always come in single use. Next slide, please. So you can also collect them with the Manila CDS. The next slide. Or in the barbecue grill, you know, that's all barbecue grill. But this is the only one I have for the 4-peso. So it comes in single and it's you just use whatever you can get. Next slide, please. So thanks to Jonah again, because first thing I talked to David Chong and oh, by the way, David Chong was here today and I'm very glad to see him. I'm sure everyone did. Actually, David Chong was the first guy who gave me my Lambert labels. So I should thank him for that. There was a long story about that. That is an unbelievable story. How he got those labels. So anyway, I always query them and Abe Lusco and David Chong. I keep on asking, what are those initials on the side? And then somebody told me, oh, I think I've seen a listing of that at Joe Knapp's book. I said, really? So I went to it and lo and behold, thanks a lot to Joe Knapp. And we have a listing of the names of the person with those initials. It says siderographer. And at first I don't know what is a siderographer. So I look at the dictionary and they said it's the guy who transferred the sign on the plate. And then there's also plate finisher. What does a plate finisher does? Well, he's the one who clean up the plate once the thing is transferred there, and he will clean it up, he will fix them, so there will be no margin or loose connection. So DMC stand for Daniel M. Clancy, siderographer on the list. And the same thing, GW, plate finisher. So, and I started looking for them, I got curious, so I started looking for those initials. So that's also probably another way of, you want to collect more of your Lamberts. Next slide, please. But not every value will have those initials. It's only a few, not the whole set of values. You can, there's nothing on the 8 centavo, 16 centavo. So you only have on certain values. Okay. Next slide. So if you want to be a little bit more sophisticated, go for the arrow blocks. So you can have the left and the right. You can even have them on the label. So you can keep on going, like the Energizer Bunny. Keep on going farther. Next slide. See, same thing. Do the right and the left, and then the label. Next slide, please. Then go for the 1-peso too, So that's also another way of collecting them. One more. And then you go for the largest multiple. Off and on label. So that's also another way, if you want to be challenged, go for it. Next slide. Same thing here, how nice it is. Next slide. 1-peso. I think James has a block of this. Next slide. Now you can go further. Go for the whole thing. And go and then go for the whole page. They're available. Next slide, please. Next slide. See, these are the harder ones. I think they have like 3 or 4, I think, reported. I'll show you a bigger slide later. There's a discrepancy here. The Lambert study group mentioned about this discrepancy here, that there's a narrow space between these 2 stamps. So they call it an error or something. Next slide, please. The same thing with the special delivery.
Sorry. Will those-
Go back.
25,
Huh?
will those go from 25? They have different. Oh, it's different stamp, I'm sorry, my eyes are.
No. I mean, there's just a narrowing here, but I'll give you a bigger picture of it. Next slide, please. So special delivery, actually, I have the left arrow blocked here, but I put that together. So I have the right and the left. But I think the left arrow block tag is harder to find than the right one. This is they're very scarce, but it's rarer to get the left arrow thing. Next slide, please. Can go to a click blocks, you know, you can go for click blocks. Next slide. This is a straight of 8. You know, you get whatever you can get. So these are nice ones. Next. Oh, the F thing is you can only find that F thing on the right pane in the 2 centavo and the 16 centavo. What does that F means? Well, they say that F signifies that the plate has been hardened. I don't know why you have to harden it, but that's just to signify that F. Next slide. Nice. These are the strips with the plate number strips. Next slide, please. Oh, this is beautiful. Next slide. Now you can go for plate block of 20. Largest piece known to exist. Of course, I started at 10 because you know at 8 centavo you have a pane of 100. So, but the largest starting for 10 centavo to 30 centavos is a block of 20. Next slide, please. It's another thing. You want to just get all the corners. You know, it's one corner. I could not find a corner for. I could find it in a label, but I hate to soak it and remove it from the label. So I have to add the label in my exhibit. Next slide, please. So this is also a label. Sometimes I remember Merle Spence sidekick, Joanne Turner, Little Perf. She always mentioned that these are unique because it's a combination of small and large target, or a target and a barbecue. They're unique, they're rare, which is true. But I think she just able to sell stock to me because she wanted to sell it to me. So I said, okay. Next slide, please. So these are the nice labels for the high values, you know, the 10 peso margin corner, and the 4 pesos, the 4 pesos, 10, you know, those are really nice. I know one guy who really was deadly on this was Jamie John, which is that's his code name for eBay, Jamie John. And that was the code name of the late attorney Leonard Diamond. Next slide, please. So this is the narrow horizontal spacing variety that I'm talking about. This way. I don't know, but they said, I read it on the report of the Lambert study group, they mentioned about it. Next slide, please. So from what I've read, when they stop using the company using the perforate stamps, Leon Lambert has friends in the philatelic world in the Philippines. So he gave some of the, you know, stamps that they have, and they've used it. And these are the covers that I encountered the last 20 years. And this one is, you see a 12 centavo and a pair of 2 centavos. Or can it be 1931? Well, there's no way, it's 1927. You know, and it's the same thing here. It's a block of 4 of the 2 centavo, but it was built in 1929. So it's a, no brainer. It's a really a Lambert stamp. Next slide, please. These are my two special delivery, but I did this one to Rick Nichols. This, oh, what's that? Am I overtime for me? Because Attorney Rick Niggins has an exhibit on this station. So he needed that. So I gave it to him. So this is the one I have right now on my exhibit. Huh? It's a Brookman cover, but one thing nice with Brookman is he's always correct franking. It's like Ernest Hoosh.
Yeah.
They do philatelic thing, but franking is good. It's correct. So there is a 8 centavo, 6 centavo, and the special delivery. There's a third one that Merle Spence was talking to me about, but he said, because he saw this too, and he said that he saw one more, but it's a very poor condition cover. So I guess these are the two best special delivery cover. Next slide, please. So I showed you the forerunner. I showed you the imperforate labels. Now I have to show you, folks, what happened then, like when they stopped doing the imperforate. So how they come up? Yeah. They use they make some changes, I guess, from this label in 1927. I guess they moved from one Luna Strait to Iran, and see, and then they still use a 10 peso. But at that time, we have the legislative palace issue. So I've seen this. When I saw this, I really went to it. Because this is the only one I've seen. And this is a nice tool to end your exhibit, because this is like usually the last page you're gonna show on the exhibit. It's like it's the end of the perforate and back to the perforate. So this is a very nice last page of the exhibit. Next slide, please. So people say, what happened with Leon Lambert? Well, he married another American living in Manila. And from what I've read, they had a son, Leon Lambert Jr. So when this business was going on, they have an office in New York. So Leon Lambert Sr., because he has a junior now, stayed in the US, and he just attended stamp shows, because I have cover where he attended a stamp show in Seattle, and he mailed a card from that stamp show to himself. But this is I guess the Lambert sales continued. This is a September 18, 1941. So before the Second World War, they're still in business. But I haven't seen any cover after the war. So I don't know. But from what I've heard, they settled in the San Francisco area. And the fact that the grandchildren or what, they hang around in this area. And I think that's where Merle Spence, the stamp gallery, got a huge load of labels and stamps from that family. But anyway, next slide. I think that's it. Any questions?
Which is more scarce, the pair of 4 peso or the 10 peso?
The 4 peso. Because there are more usage of the 10 peso in label, but for mint, it's still the 10 peso. But for labels, it's there are two things. Maybe they use less 4 peso pair, or they soak more labels with the 4 peso. Because even in my stock, I have a lot of 10 peso labels. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just a novice, so I was intrigued by the initials that were placed next to the stamps. Were any of those printings ever damaged in any way or properly printed? And were those people then responsible for the printing?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, this is just to know if I'm the supervisor, at least I know who did it, or who prepared the plate. So they put their initials there. But I'm surprised though that in other values, there was no initials. So there was no uniform practice. I don't know why. But maybe if you are the stereographer officer, you want your name to be there, your initials, or maybe you put your initial, like EW was here, So any other questions? Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the controversy around the Scott membrane that, Leon Lambert went back and forth with Scott for like 10 years?
Yes, initially they locked them together. That's why if you look at the stat number, the real number refers to the 1931, because I don't know the exact date when they made some changes, but all along they just put them all together to perforate Philippine stamps, and it's just the number. And then when they were able to convince, I don't know who did most of the work. I probably need to do more research on that, but they were able to convince Scott, so that's why they added the A, B, C, the letters, which refers to the 1925.
Yeah, I think it started back in the 40s. They actually had the 25s, then they took them out for about 10 years. And Leon Lambert fought with the Scott kid. Scott catalog.
I think that
They finally put them back in, but they didn't consider them stamps because they were only saved one company.
yes, you're right.
Got the fight.
You're right. But the thing is, the one thing that they mentioned is like it went through the mail.
But that was, still.
Yes. So I guess they added it because it's being collected, and although not many, that's why they added the small letters on the stock numbers, which refers to that, which is the reverse,
I mean, Merle Spencer, they were bottom of that.
And I'm very sorry to hear because I did a lot of about 10 or 12 years ago, I did a lot of correspondence with Burl Spence. He may not be the nicest guy, but he's very helpful. And he helped me a lot. And I heard today that he passed away. Is that right?
Yeah, his last.
Yeah, I feel so bad. The last time I talked to him was before the pandemic. But 15 years ago, I talked to him almost every week. And I asked him for his advice, and he will tell me what to look for and where can I find them. He's very helpful. Same thing with his sidekick, Doc Kennedy, Lawrence Kennedy. Yeah, but he retired in Portland, Oregon, and he's not with us anymore. Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else? Good. Thank you for your time and patience. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. Sim. That was an amazing presentation. Okay. Does anyone online have any questions for Dr. Sim? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next part of our, go ahead.
Go now.
Go ahead,
There
Joe.
was a question about the sonorographer and finisher initials. I'm not certain, but I think they're associated with what is a group of 4 plates of 400 as opposed to plates of 200. So there's some relationship with the 2, the 4, the 10, 16, and 20-cent values because there were 4 plate numbers made nominally in sequence. Now, I haven't delved into it, but there's some relationship, whether it's a individual plate number or a group of 4 plates. So I'll let somebody else do the research and drive someone else insane. So I'm gonna shut up now.
Right, does anyone else have any questions?